Hi everyone, and welcome to my latest build, which is Bronco's 1/35th scale 17-pounder Archer. Now before I start, I'd just like to apologise to all of my subscribers and followers and the YouTube community in general. I haven't been around for the last 3 months and really missed you guys, but I'm back at the bench now doing some modelling and looking forward to getting back into the community and chatting and catching up with all of your wonderful work that you've been doing. Now, as far as this build goes, for those of you who follow my work, you'll know that I like to do a lot of scratch building and additions, etc. But this is going to be one of the very few times where I actually do an out-of-the-box build. So no extras, whatever's in the box will be used to build the kit. So if that's something you'd like to watch, then please feel free to pull up a chair, grab a coffee, and let's do some modelling. So first of all, we did the running gear. As you can see, a little bit of cleaning up needed to be done here, using filler sanded back to get rid of the injection marks. There was some nasty seam lines going down the ridges, which did need a bit of attention, but came out well, so just take your time when cleaning those parts up. Now the wheels, there are several wheels, so be very careful. Make sure you plan these correctly. As you can see, there's 2 inners and a tyre, as well as the hub onto each wheel, and the wheels do form full sets on each side, as well as some spares if you decide to use that option with this particular kit. As far as the bogies go, the springs have a real nasty seam line going down them and do need a bit of attention, so be prepared for that. But beautifully detailed and engineered, and they go together really well indeed. A couple of little hubs here needed some PE nuts added to them, but no issues there at all. And then as far as the front and back wheels go, very similar to the other wheel sections, and they went together very nicely as well, along with the track wheels, support wheels as well. So here we have all the bogies in place, front and left and right hand side. There are some guiding marks on the hull, so you can put them exactly in the correct position, so no issues there. Now the real issue you're going to have is how to set this up for painting. Now I like to paint everything off the model, so as well as the wheels, as well as the bogies. So there is a little bit of wriggle room to allow you to do that, but it will be a little bit tight once everything's painted up. But again, everyone does things differently, so it is up to you how you decide to tackle that part. Now moving on to the tracks, very nice tracks, go together lovely, but they are fragile. If I wasn't doing an out-of-the-box build, I would swap them out and get some metal tracks in. But didn't take too long to do, a few hours. So these are the tools of the trade to get the all done. So snipped each link off, then trimmed it back with a knife, and then sanded them flush. And I like to put my links together in pairs of 2s, then 4s, then 8s, then 16s, and build up the track length that way. Now, as far as putting the links together, if you put the top part in first, and then rather than snap the bottom in, just try and hook it on, so you do protect the small fragile joining parts. And there we go. Now to actually put the tracks on, again very fragile, so where they bend around the front and rear sprockets, just put a little bit of Tamiya tape just to hold it all together, and that will give you a bit more support when putting your tracks on. But again, as I've said before, I'll be doing all of the painting and weathering off of the model, so this will be done at the very end of the build. 101 links altogether. That's what I'm going for, but it may be a little bit more, maybe a little bit less once all the painting and weathering's done. But I'll keep you in touch with how many links I do use altogether. The back plates were put on. There are different types depending on whether you're doing early or late versions, so be careful of that. Now there are handles on all of the plastic parts where it's relevant. However, Bronco do provide the PE equivalent, so if you want a bit better detailing, then it's a matter of getting your blade, very carefully taking off the kit part, Then using your PE files, just take off any ridges and any loose parts of plastic. And then finally, if you just get a fine sanding stick and just make sure that it's a very clean area, and then we can go ahead and put on the PE part. Now there's quite a few PE handles to be done. There aren't any spares, or very few spares I should say, so try not to lose too many of these. And just sand the back so that you get a better adhesion onto the plastic parts. And then very fiddly, just using your tweezers, what you need to do is to bend the PE part into a handle shape. And yes, I did lose a few, so be very careful. If this isn't your thing, not a problem, just keep the kit part handles on the plastic parts. I can't remember how many there are altogether, but it's certainly around about the 30 odd mark. So by the time you've done a few, you'll be an expert at doing them. Oh, and there it goes. So there we go, there's another one, and that's the shape that you're after. Now I know some of you guys like to use black CA glue, but I use clear myself. However, with such a small part, there's bound to be some over spill, so just get your debonder with a brush and just very carefully take any excess off. Very simple process, and just try not to soak the area too much. And then once dry, that'll look fine. So what we'll do now is move on to the interior parts. This is used on the front of the Archer. Now you don't have to do the internal works if you have the hatches shut, but if you'd like to have the hatches open, then this is a nice bit of detailing that you can do. Beautifully engineered, minimal cleanup, and went together perfectly well. Had no issues with it at all. And as you can see from these pictures, it builds up into nice components. I didn't have any reference photos to check the accuracy of it, but I have no reason not to believe that this is completely accurate. The radiator's beautifully detailed, lovely bit of engineering, went together really well. And then we have the fans as well. And that fan panel, that will actually segregate the area which you can actually see with the hatches open. And there it is, that's it all put together. And as you can see, nicely detailed with those radiators on top. Now I used Mr. Surfacer Finishing Black, that didn't need any thinning, and used the airbrush, and then I added on some hairspray, and then used Mr. Hobby White. Now with the hairspray chipping technique, I like to use these little metal files, or little metal brushes, whatever you'd like to call them, and these give you some nice chipping effects. You can also use metal Brillo pads as well. As you go in, just try and clean off the chips, and if you want to be a little bit less aggressive, you can use some smaller brushes as well to do some ordinary hairspray chipping with. Now I'm still getting my head around Mr. Hobby as far as how it chips. I've had some good results and not some good results, but I'm still trying to work out which is the best way to do it. Now on this occasion I actually covered the area in water and then did the chipping. Probably not the best thing to have done. Probably best to actually just dampen the brush or the metal pens and just do the chipping as I went. But living and learning, and because it's all internal and can't be seen because I'm going to have the hatches closed, it wasn't a major issue for me. So just want to show you what we did with the radiator. Just applied the water, let it soak in for a little while, and then just go back and start doing some of the chipping. As you can see, it's a little bit damp still, and that will help with the paint removal with the pen. And like I say, these pens are excellent. You get some lovely fine scratches. You do get some chips that you just cannot get with a brush. So rather than use the pen all the time, I use the brush as well just to clean it up. But be careful because you will take too much paint off otherwise. And as you can see, just doing some extra little chips as well with the paintbrush. Now rather than bore you too much with this, I did complete the other radiator, so we'll just have a look at that and then you can see that in more detail on how those chips have come out and how it looks once it's dried. Again, this is very much a practice exercise because this will all be covered up. Now as you can see, the chipping went really well, very pleased with the chipping, but what I wasn't pleased with was the colour, the black. I wanted more of a rusty look. So again, because I'm just practicing a little bit here with these hobby colours, what I decided to do was to start again to a certain extent. So I took as much of the paint off as I possibly could, and then I got some burnt umber and some dark rust, and I've just simply gone round and applied it with a brush to get that sort of as you can see, that sort of rusty effect. And now I'm going to be using that as my base, and then once that was all dry, we added on the other colour and just try and pick up the areas that got missed with the first layer of burnt umber using the dark rust. And then once that was all dry, it's a matter of putting another layer of hairspray on using the Mr. Hobby Aquarius white, and then that chipped a lot better and a better result. Now this has all been weathered now. I'm not going to bore you too much with the weathering process because you've seen it from my other videos, how I use oils, etc. However, I will go into a bit more extensive detail when we do the open back part of the Archer on the using the oil paint rendering process for doing the chipping. So that's where we are now with the build. What we'll now work on is the main hull and the gun and the open area at the back. So it's great to be back. I really appreciate you looking in on my video, and if your continued support of my work, and a big thank you to all of my subscribers. Happy modelling!